Greetings, fellow citizens of Gotham. This is Batman, and you are listening to The Night Cave. Now, where are the golf drops? Really, where are they?
Magnificent, isn't she? 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. Fully bulletproof, a few little tricks up her sleeve. It's a shame, really. She was meant for you, but she's been reassigned to 009. But you can have this.
Does it do anything?
It tells the time. Like that with your punctuality issues.
M's idea.
Precisely. Oh, one word of warning. The alarm is rather loud. If you know what I mean.
I think I did.
Anyway, enjoy your downtime, 007.
Q.
Yes?
Well, now you know exactly where I am. All the time. Will you do something for me?
What do you have in mind, exactly?
Make me disappear.
May I remind you that I answer directly to M. I also have a mortgage and 2 cats to feed.
Well, then I suggest you trust me. For the sake of the cats.
Well, it's lovely to see you, 007. Right, lovely. Now, I meant to tell you, the Smart Blood program is obviously still in its developmental phase. So we may experience the odd drop in coverage during the first 24 hours. 48 hours after administration, but after that it should work perfectly.
I'll send you a postcard.
Please don't.
What are you? I'm Batman.
My name is Bond. Bond.
It's Bond. It's Bond. Bond.
Bond.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Bond. My name is Bond. James Bond. Bond.
James Bond.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
007 reporting for duty.
This is The Night Cave, the show covering everything related to Batman and James Bond. And now, here's your host, Brian Thomas.
Welcome back, everyone, to an all-new episode of The Night Cave. The name's Thomas, Brian Thomas, and I am your host. Thanks for joining me. This is the show where we discuss everything related to Batman and James Bond movies. Oh, man, I want to say I hope you all had a great week. I mean, overall, it was a pretty good week, all things considered. We'll be talking about something in just a moment, and that's probably why most of the James Bond fans are feeling this feeling that they're feeling right now. Anyway, and to kind of help us get through this and share some of the listener opinions, joining me this week is longtime listener and returning guest, Mr. Christian Evangelista. How are you, sir?
Hello. Thanks for having me back. It's been a bit.
Yeah, all right. Honestly, when was the last time you were on the show? I honestly can't remember.
I don't remember either now that I think about it. I know it was... I don't know. Okay. It's been a while.
Well,
yeah.
I was on hiatus most of last year, and
right.
It was definitely before that. I know that. But it is great to have you back. You know, Christian is, like I said, he's been a long-time listener, and I know he is a huge James Bond fan, which is perfect timing for him to come on tonight's episode, or this week's episode, should I say. He's going to be paneling with me the whole show. All right, Christian, let's not beat around the bush. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room, as they say. No Time to Die was supposed to be out in just about 4 to 5 weeks. But it has been announced via JamesBond007.com, MGM Universal and Bond producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli announced on Wednesday after careful consideration, and thorough evaluation of the global theatrical marketplace, the release of No Time to Die will be postponed until November 2020. The film will be released in the UK on November 12th, 2020, and worldwide release dates to follow, including the US launch on November 25th, 2020. Yeah, when I turn off, I don't know about you, Christian, but when I'm at work, I turn off my social media just so I can try to focus a little bit. So here I am at lunchtime, and I ended up getting out of work early, as a matter of fact, and I like look on my email, and I don't know if you follow him. It's James Bond dossier, and I got an email saying it's the film has been delayed. I'm like, oh, come on, this is an April Fool's joke. Get out of here. So of course
I had to be that person to some of my friends, and text them and say, hey, did you hear the news yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have my phone on my desk, and when I'm at work, and the notification popped out that, there's a new tweet from 007.com, and I was like, okay, I wonder what this is. Click. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it really was. It's like, you must be joking. And just like everybody else, you always, when a story breaks like this, especially such a huge story, you want to check your sources. If you check like the big ones, Deadline, Hollywood, I would say, Variety, I'm trying to think of some other ones out there. The biggest one obviously is 007.com because that's coming right from the source. But and let's talk about something else that's been going on. And part of the reason or the main reason for this delay, even though they didn't say it specifically in this statement, there's something going on right now that I haven't addressed on the show, and I never really thought I would have to. But it's the coronavirus. It's called the coronavirus, and this is very, very serious right now. I was going to mention probably on the next show that it was affecting China and how this would affect the release of the movie over there and such. And now it's just it's everywhere. It really is. This is a very scary time, if I must say.
It's actually, so not only James Bond, but the other big spy franchise, Mission Impossible, it's affected them too, because they're supposed to be filming the two next films, 7 and 8, back to back, and one of the filming locations was Venice, and their production got shut down because Venice has sort of banned all public gatherings.
Yeah, it's really crazy time. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with other movies that big movies that such another spy movie, I guess you could call it, as Black Widow from the MCU, and that wasn't going to be released not too long after No Time to Die. Something I did want to mention, this is per Deadline Hollywood. They say the date brings back Bond to November, which is a season he's launched from, largely going all the way back to 1995's Goldeneye, except for Tomorrow Never Dies, which was released in December 19th, 1997. No Time to Die will now face off on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving with Warner Brothers, Will Smith, King Richard, Disney's Raya, and The Last Dragon, and Sony's comedy The Happiest Season. This is purely an economic decision. They understand, and no one based on growing fears over the coronavirus. Bond is a day-and-date worldwide release with the franchise back in the hands of MGM fully post Sony's distribution, yada, yada, yada. However, since China shuttered its exhibition structure due to the coronavirus outbreak, MGM and Universal have been in a wait-and-see mode. There's been theater closings across Korea, Japan, Italy, and France. And this was a clear push for them to push the date for No Time to Die. So this is, it's obviously from an economic standpoint, it looks like MGM is bound to lose about $30 million plus hit after moving the Bond movie. But just imagine if, they did decide, okay, well, we're just going to release it anyway, how much of a hit they would be taking there.
I seem to recall, I may have been from either that Deadline article for something else I read, that if they had released now, it would have taken about a 30% cut out of their entire box office.
Yeah. And the budget,
which was, I think they were like aiming for $1 billion to earn about $1 billion, so that'd be what, $300 million.
Right,
they'd lose,
especially with a budget of about approximately $245 million, or that was Spectre's anyway. So give or take, it'll probably be around the same.
Around the same, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not. I don't want to say I'm mad. I mean, it's kind of hard to get mad at the reason this is getting pushed back. I look at it as maybe a blessing in disguise because, okay, well, how many times was this movie delayed?
At least this is at least the third time, because I remember it was originally scheduled to release last year in November, then moved to Valentine's Day this year, and then April, and now November.
Yeah. So it's by this point, it's just like, okay, something doesn't want this movie to come out yet, and hopefully November is finally going to be the month. To me, November's always been Bond month. It always has felt that way. I can't even if it's not a new Bond movie coming out, I always say, oh, this is the release dates of such and such a movie. It's, The World Is Not Enough was released here. Casino Royale, Skyfall. I remember going to see all those in theater in November. So to me, this kind of works, for me anyway. I don't mind waiting. If my countdown has to change now, but it is what it is. What are your thoughts? What's the thoughts on the Bond forums out there? I know you're big with the James Bond Radio forum for Baltimore, Maryland area.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, one of the things I want to say is that all those movies you listed that would be going head to head with in November, I've never heard of any of them. So that's a good sign for Bond. At least it's not like there's a Star Wars movie it has to compete with. This
is very true. Yes.
But yeah. So the general consensus on the forums, I'm also on the commanderbond.net forums. A lot of people have that they're angry or they're disappointed, but a lot of them understand, okay, this is probably for the best, especially as the cases seem to increase, and as well as especially like I work in the conferences industry, and all these big conferences are getting canceled. Like, was it the conference in Seattle? The Comic-Con in Seattle got canceled, and then South by Southwest, the big music festival, got canceled. So it's just looking like, okay, this is a sign that things are going to start to get canceled and pushed back, and it may just be for the best, since we really don't know that much about coronavirus in the first place.
This is true. I mean, it almost. I don't know how to say this any better way. It sounds like something out of a Bond movie, and I didn't want to put theories out there yet for this movie, but somebody said on my Instagram, he was saying that what if this is like something it's coincidental to something that actually is happening in this new Bond movie. And the more I've thought about it, I think he's got a great point, because a scientist kidnapped and a biological weapon warfare. I mean, this could be.
Oh man!
That's like. Oh.
I can see that definitely happen. Like, and it's just it's something that's obviously how would they have known about it? But
right.
If they release now, that just looks bad.
Yeah, it does. And mark my words, you know what? I'm going to go with it. I think that this guy, what's his name, is playing.
Safin?
Yeah, Safin. I think he's maybe not the scientist, but he's like the guy that's releasing this virus or whatever it is globally, and that's kind of what the premise of No Time to Die is. I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it right now.
All right.
Like I said, the timing of it would be really bad. That's
timing is everything.
Yeah.
That it reminds me of for Tomorrow Never Dies. The original plot was that something was going to happen, like something would happen to prevent the handover of Hong Kong from the British to the Chinese. And someone said, what if something actually does go wrong, and how bad would it look in our movie if that did happen?
Yeah, and Bond movies are notorious for taking directly out of the news. I mean, something like Die Another Day, North Korea. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Pitting two countries against each other. I mean, that's tomorrow. Going back to Tomorrow Never Dies, a media mogul, L.A. Carver. Sorry, Elliot, we didn't do it. I'm trying to look at it from this perspective. I mean, like I said, it's very, very sad right now. Just going to the grocery store, and Lysol and Clorox wipes are very hard to come by. Toilet paper.
Good luck finding hand sanitizer anywhere.
It's you can't find it on Amazon even. Very scary time though, in all seriousness. But like I said, as looking at it from the Bond fan perspective, 7 more months. What can we do? We can continue to speculate. Now, maybe this is also good though for the director Cary Fukunaga and the producers to say, hey, you know what? let's use this time wisely. Not saying that they didn't have a great Bond film ready to go, but it's 7 months. Imagine what you can do with that in 7 months.
Right. Well, I think, so I follow Cary Fukunaga on Instagram, and he had a couple of amusing posts on his story, and I think it was the day or 2 days afterwards. And I don't know if you remember, but at one point he got criticized because people thought he was just spending all his free time playing on his PS4 and not actually doing any work on the movie.
Yeah.
So he had a post saying, and he's showing his calendar and he's showing the last, however many months, block full of meetings. And so he scrolled down to past April. He's like, what happened to that? And there's nothing there on his calendar. And then his next post is him opening up his cabinet with his showing his Xbox or not, his PS4 controller with the Sounds of Silence playing.
Nice. Yeah.
So it seems like, at least from his perspective, he's like, I get some free time. Yeah. And he also had a post like, wonder what those Mission Impossible guys are doing.
Seriously, I mean, well, like you were said in November, all those movies that I named before, those aren't movies that we're familiar with anyway.
No.
And I mean, a Disney movie, I won't mock a Disney movie. Disney is not something to it's not something to trifle with, Master Wayne. But usually history has proven that Bond can do very well in November. You don't have to have a summer movie to have a blockbuster anymore. April seemed like an interesting time for a Bond movie. To me, it was kind of an odd time.
I was curious. Yeah. I was curious how that was going to turn out because, I mean, the Marvel movies have always done very well in that sort of April time slot. So I was wondering how Bond would do. But I guess we might have to wait till the next Bond 26 to find out if they try to do that again.
Yeah. And while I have you here, any speculations on Bond 26? Do you think this really is Daniel Craig's last film? I mean, I know that I didn't have a chance to watch it, but he was on Saturday Night Live this past weekend, and he was saying it's his last Bond film. The director, Cary Fukunaga, has even said this is Daniel Craig's last Bond film. Do you really think so?
I think so. I mean, I don't think it's just a marketing ploy. I think he wanted to be done after Spectre, and when Spectre's reception wasn't as great, he realized, all right, if I do one more, and we may really knock it out of the park this, because if you think about it, no other Bond actor has gone in and said, all right, this is going to be my last one. And, also no other Bond actor's last film is really their best film. If you look at A View to a Kill, it's fun, but it's not Roger Moore's best. No. Nor is, obviously, not Dalton, George Lazenby only had the one, so by default, his best was his first and his last.
That's true.
Die Another Day, definitely not, Brosnan's best. Diamonds Are Forever, well, it may be my wife's favorite Bond film. It is not Connery's best.
No, actually, I think I've said it before. That is my least favorite Bond film of all time.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's, it was great to see Sean Connery back. I can, the first 10 minutes of that were great, and then after that, it just went downhill for me. It really did. It's funny if I treat it like a comedy. It's
Oh yeah, no, and I think that's why my wife loves it, is because it's the way she put it is it's the one that isn't afraid of showing how goofy Bond really is. I was like, all right, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, the little space vehicle chase. I think that did it for me in there too.
But yeah, so if he did this and as his last film and consciously made it as his last film, and really knocked it out of the park, he'd be the only Bond to be able to say that. So I think, if this is as good as a movie as I'm hoping it is, then I think he'd be able to say, okay, I stepped away on a high.
Yeah. Remind me, what is your favorite Bond movie, or at least Craig Bond movie?
Oh, my favorite Craig. Oh, that's even that's tough.
Yeah, no.
I would go Casino Royale.
Okay,
yeah.
Good choice.
It's a toss-up between that and Skyfall, really.
Yeah, same here. Anytime I watch either of them, if I go back and watch Casino Royale first, I'm like, oh, this is so good. I love this. This is the best. And then I watch Skyfall, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It really is. So, and even, Quantum of Solace and Spectre, I mean, they're not my favorites, but they're not, my least favorites at the same time.
Right.
I thought that I have no problem with Daniel Craig coming back. I was like, all right, if he's coming back, and then, I'm sure he's going to, really put his all into it. Not saying that he didn't do that with Spectre, but I think it was more along the lines of the story. They must have such a very good story for this movie, considering that he's also the first Bond actor to be a co-producer on the films, which
that's true.
Which he has. Well, unofficially, he was for Skyfall since he found the director of what's his name, Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes, yeah.
Right. And then it became official with Spectre, and he'll be producing this one, No Time to Die. So I don't think he would just go in. Well, I don't know. That could be debatable because some, as they say, what's the phrase, a dump truck full of money, and that could persuade somebody to come back and do the movie. But I mean, I think this looks like a combination of, or it looks more like Skyfall, I think, in a way. Like I said, the only thing that's really bothered me with No Time to Die, or what could bother me, is just that it's connecting all of the other Bond movies, and us as Bond fans, we're well aware of what's going on with it, love it or hate it. But the casual movie fan, I hope that they put some kind of summary at the very beginning. Okay, this is everything that's happened, because majority of the Bond movies, we've never had sequels in a way, if at all.
Well, I mean, other than say Quantum, which is like the most sequel-y.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say Spectre is pretty sequel-y as well, but yeah, not except from the Craig films. Yeah, none of them are very sequel-y. Well, what I will say about Daniel Craig, at least because I did watch Saturday Night Live, and he was pretty funny in most of his skits, and I enjoyed that. But what I will say is that he seems the most relaxed and most comfortable in all of the press that I've seen him do. And that gives me, whereas obviously after Spectre, there arose the quote, which I'm glad at least hasn't made the rounds as much this time around. Really. I'd rather slash my wrists than come back.
Yeah. And people, I always stick up for him with this because he suffered a knee injury, which he had to be flown to New York for.
Oh yeah, no, I completely like the context of him. It was I think it was the day after he had finished filming, and yeah, of course he's exhausted, and it was like an 18-month shoot or something like that. So yeah, of course he's going to be like, and he is infamous for having very dry humor, and of course, and so no one else. And the American press, not so good on picking up on that dry British wit.
No, the dry British wit, I mean, that's something that's really strong with the Bond movies lately, too, especially with the Daniel Craig Bond movies, which I really enjoy, too. But, yeah, I really hope that, my expectations are growing, because, even today, I watched the trailer a good 3 or 4 times. I'm trying to avoid TV spots there. I mean, like I said, we might as well talk about it. I mean, it was on my show notes. Yes, I have show notes for this week. I guess one trailer I did want to talk about. I'm sure you've seen. I guess it's titled the Cary Fukunaga No Time to Die trailer, and it's the one where he's kind of like it looks more like a behind the scenes in a way, but it has some new clips in it also. Essentially, what he's saying is that. We're trying to rediscover Bond. Where has he been after 5 years? Bond has been retired for 5 years, actually. But who has he become? He's kind of like a wounded animal struggling with his role as a 00. And we all know by now that he's not actually called 007 anymore, which a lot of people get mad about. They do have a new 007. The world has changed. It's a culmination of all that Bond has become. And he actually did say in this will be the final chapter for Daniel Craig. Everything that was left unsaid will finally be said. Did you have a chance to see it?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember when that trailer came out, but I did watch it, and excuse me. I'm glad that I feel like with Spectre, with all the trailers, if you watch all the trailers and all the TV spots, you can kind of figure out the entire movie, whereas now, there have been a lot of trailers and a lot of spots, and I've watched most of them, but I still don't have a real, other than the fact that he's retired and then he comes back. I have no strong thoughts over where this movie's going. Or not strong thoughts, strong, like, let me rephrase that. Not strong thoughts, but just strong feelings over where this is going, because I don't know. Yeah, they've done a good job of teasing us and giving us little tidbits without really saying, okay, this is actually what's happening in the movie.
Yeah, and the same can definitely be said about a movie like Skyfall with the trailers in there. We had a general idea of what it could be about, but this one might be even more mysterious. We, like I said, we know he's been retired. Felix Leiter comes back, needs his help, but he's no longer with MI6. Madeline Swan has her deep dark secret in there. We have I want to say cameo, but I think there's going to be a bigger part with Blofeld than what we're actually seeing. What do you think?
I think it'd be interesting if, so I don't know how much you've seen of the Mission Impossible movies.
I have seen all of them, yes.
Okay, yes. So when Fallout came out, and the way that Spectre, I think we've probably talked about how similar Spectre and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation are. Yeah. But, they both end with the villain captured, and who's supposed to be sort of the big, an overarching big bad. But when Fallout came out, and I guess spoilers for Fallout, when part of the plot is him basically having to break out, the bad guy from the last movie, I was like, this is probably where they were going, because I think, what would be the worst case scenario for Bond? Oh, he has to work with and break out Blofeld.
That would be, I could definitely see that. Let me just say, though, I believe Mission Impossible Rogue Nation did it better than Spectre.
100%. Yeah. And I'm slightly biased because I actually got into the Mission Impossible films before I ever got into the Bond films.
Yeah, the Mission Impossible films are really good.
Yes,
and they borrowed off each other a lot, especially in Fallout. Going back to Rogue Nation, the opera scene in there, that was just like Quantum of Solace. I thought that the whole time. The scene in Fallout with Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise doing kind of like a
bathroom
jump.
Fights. People kept saying, "Yeah, this is." I was like, do you guys not remember Casino Royale's bathroom fight? Yeah. And how brutal that was?
More brutal. Yeah, way more brutal. But, I mean, it's hard not to compare. Bond has been compared to, on this show, Bourne, Batman. So, in a way, it's hard to come up with a creative story. Whether this guy, Safin, whether he ends up being a Dr. No, in a sense, I don't think that's true. Or maybe he could be, but he's not the big bad in this movie. I still think it could be Blofeld, or maybe Madeline. This is just speculation, okay? So there luckily also for points for No Time to Die because the script has still not been leaked, unlike Spectre.
That's true. Yeah.
But that was during the Sony hacks, though, too. So I don't think MGM and Universal plan on being hacked anytime soon.
So I think just being on the Bond forums, that is one of the biggest fears with this delay, because if the film is pretty much wrapped, cut, and done, then it's just sitting in someone's hard drive, and people are worried that it is going to leak online, like the movie in its entirety is going to leak online, and then that'll definitely take a cut from, hit from its box office. And I genuinely hope that doesn't happen, because I want my first time to see it to be in a theater, and I especially if it leaks like that, there'll be spoilers all over the place,
which are even harder nowadays to avoid.
Exactly.
It really is. If it's out there on YouTube, Twitter, what have you, everybody's going to find it somehow. I really hope, like I said, that they do take this time, and if whatever it may be, Hans Zimmer, was kind of like doing a quick score. Maybe this gives him even more time to rescore it the way him and his partner wanted to do. I don't know, the scenes, it's always plenty of time for a reshoot. A reshoot is never a bad thing. Sometimes it actually can improve the movie. But if you're Joss Whedon reshooting 75% of Justice League, a reshoot's a different thing there. And I highly doubt anything like that would happen. I think it seems like Cary Fukunaga actually runs a very tight ship. He knows, especially since he's the first U.S. director to ever direct a Bond film. Is
that right?
I believe he's from the U.S.
Well, no, but is he the first? You're probably right with that, but I just never thought about it that way. Yeah.
Because it's always been a British director. John Glenn, obviously, he's British. Sam Mendes, Martin Campbell, Lewis Gilbert, I believe, was British. Help me out here with some other directors.
It's Michael Apted. Yeah. Huh.
Lee Tamahori.
You may be right. Wow. Look at that.
5 points for me, finally. Winning. Either way, I really don't care where the director's from. I just want him to do the best Bond movie that he possibly can. And I think this guy, he's a fan. And, I hope he does, he's able to give Daniel Craig that final send-off. So, like I said, let the speculations continue. It's going to be a long 7 months. We'll survive. We will. This gives you time to go back and rewatch all 25 or 24 Bond films again before the 25. Because actually, I haven't. I was just going to do a little Daniel Craig countdown starting last week.
Mm-hmm.
Just so and I was getting ready. I was like, okay, the premiere is going to be coming up, and then it's just But that's okay. That's all right. So plenty of time to rewatch Bond films and just enjoy them. So
I think that because for me, some of the most fun is just that lead up time, just interacting with the Bond community and seeing how as things trailers or anything else or posters anything gets released, just interacting with and enjoying this is the fun part where we're having that all that anticipation building as the movie comes. And so having that, stretched out a little bit more is just going to ramp up the anticipation for this movie even more. And hopefully when it delivers, it'll be, that much more satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. And what's so funny is I keep seeing this online on Facebook and Instagram about how you can win a chance to go to the premiere. I think it's with Naomi Campbell. She's the one posting about it. I'm like, oh, no. And the Spy Command, if you follow them, they've been saying, okay, MGM, I think it's time you take it down. And another thing with the marketing, they've had some really good movie posters with this. I think my favorite is the one where it has the bigger picture of Bond. He's kind of looking back, and then you have the faces of all the other characters in there. That's been probably one of my favorite movie posters, but they have plenty more time to do that, and I hope we don't get any more big trailers. I don't think we will. Maybe a 60-second trailer at most.
What I envision happening is that they're basically, other than because there was a new TV spot with the Saturday Night Live. So actually, there, on Saturday Night Live, there was one James Bond skit which I enjoyed a lot. And then right after that, they had a TV spot, and it was the first time where they they didn't say that specifically what the date was going to be, but they said Thanksgiving. I was like, okay,
yeah, Thanksgiving.
So I think they'll take a pause for marketing until probably September, October,
right,
and then just ramp up marketing again.
Yeah.
Maybe have like I said, like you said, probably maybe a new 60-second clip just to remind people that it's coming out.
Right.
Maybe some new posters or re-releasing posters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think about it, this has been going on since just after Thanksgiving, their marketing campaign, because I think a lot of fans were complaining, okay, why haven't we started to see any trailer? Release the trailer, finally. Well, you got the trailer. You got a TV spot. You have about probably 5 to 10 TV spots now, and now we just have to wait and just rewatch them, and you can continue to speculate. Me personally, I'm going to catch up on my Funko Pop collection of James and find actually, I did random. I just found a nice little 1977 White Lotus just in the toy aisle, and
nice.
It's just one of those things. Anyway, so I did want to mention one quick thing about Blofeld. There was a trailer where it said "Fate draws us back together." Now your enemy's my enemy. And that's what I was saying before about, I think he's making more than a cameo. I think it's trying to throw the viewer off, and Sapin is secretly working for Blofeld. So I'm just throwing that out there again also.
I think it would be a little fun if they were having a war for Spectre.
Ooh, I like that.
So I don't know if you ever played. So when was this? Early 2000s. There was a game released called GoldenEye Rogue Agent.
Yes, I remember that. Oh, I love that game. Yes,
and it was fun. It wasn't necessarily worthy of the GoldenEye name because it didn't have anything to do with that movie. But in the game, and this is when I think the rights for Spectre were still very murky, so they couldn't actually call it Spectre. But in the game, basically, it was Goldfinger and Dr. No, who were both somehow still alive in this universe, were going to war over Spectre. And I just remember being like, oh, that's such a cool concept of, two villains fighting over the control of Spectre. So who knows? Maybe this will be the plot of this one.
That would be pretty interesting. And
just to see Bond caught in the middle of that and figure out, all right, am I just going to let them, destroy each other, or is that going to cause more collateral damage? And what do I do?
Yeah, and what's going on with Madeline Swan? Really,
I don't know.
I've gone on record many times on the show saying she's not my favorite Bond girl, and she's a wannabe Vesper Lynd. But that's because I'm one of the few that are huge Vesper Lynd fans.
I don't think that you're one of the few. I think for a lot of people, Vesper Lynd will top people's Bond lists up there with Tracy for Bond girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess because I'm such a big fan of Casino Royale, Ava Green just, she nailed that part. She was made for that part. The chemistry that they had. And I don't think he's had any kind of chemistry. Sometimes with actors and actresses, they just have that kind of, that chemistry. And
I think you can also chalk it up to the writing. And I think, and not to throw shade on the writers of Spectre, but I'm hoping that because we have, Cary Fukunaga and Phoebe Waller-Bridge coming on to, polish up the script, we'll see better interaction between the two of them and make it feel more meaningful.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get into Fleabag. I've watched the first episode, and I was like, this is different, but I need to go back and watch it. And so
I would also recommend the first season of Killing Eve, which Phoebe Waller-Bridge was, I believe, an exec producer on.
Oh, okay. Is that is that on Amazon?
That is spy theme. It might be on Hulu. I have it on demand on my TV. So
okay.
Yeah,
I will check it out. Okay, let's shift gears here because we have to talk about Batman also. And so, first off, I'm sure you've seen the new Batsuit. What are you?
And I think it looks amazing. It's very, very sort of like Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight kind of inspired, at least from my eyes. When I saw it, I was like, oh, he's going very armored for this one.
Yeah, he is, and I hope you've seen the GIF of him just wiping out continuously on the motorcycle. It's hilarious.
I've seen that. Yeah,
it's yeah. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but it looked like the pavement was a little wet, so I'll give him that one. So it is what it is. But
and then
yeah, the
car.
Yeah, so actually, damn it actually happened on the same day of the No Time to Die delayed announcement. I'm like, what are you guys doing to me? It's like, we go.
What I liked best was what's his name, Jeffrey Wright's reaction on Twitter because he first posted about so this is happening, and then is like, well, I've got you guys here. Take a look at this, because he is Commissioner Gordon in the new in the Batman. So.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's commissioner yet, but he is Gordon.
Yeah, he's Gordon in there. I don't know if he's going to be commissioner or not. I mean, maybe they'll pull a Dark Knight trilogy where he starts off as detective or lieutenant. I don't know. But let's talk about this. We're calling it right now the Batmobile. I guess that's what everybody's calling it. The director Matt Reeves released 3 new pictures. It's a Batman movie, so it's a nighttime setting. The lights are all lit up on here, and I would say it's a more simplistic looking than any of the Batmobiles we've ever had on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks.
I would say that, but I like the look of it. So what it reminds me of is back in I think the 80s, and Neil Adams, when he was drawing the Batmobile, it actually looked just like a streetcar with a symbol of like the outline of his head just on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see if I can find a picture that I have sent to you, and you can post on Instagram and your social medias.
Thank you.
But it kind of reminds me of that. But if you look at the back of it, there's still got those the beautiful fins, and that engine look in the back there. That looks massive.
It looks huge. You're absolutely right. This looks like a muscle car, and that's what I was thinking. It's like a cross between a Ford GT40 and a '60s Dodge Charger. And I do like this because. The Tumbler was in its own class. The Keaton Batmobile is in its own class, but still my favorite. The Batflick Batmobile was a cross between the two, I think. This is going in a totally different direction, which I really enjoy. So I can't... And the same can be said about the motorcycle that he was riding. It had a few, things on there, like you said, about, either, I guess on the front, maybe some bat symbol. Very, casual on there, not just, jumping out, per se, just like a Joel Schumacher Batman, where we have to have a bat symbol on everything and bat nipples. But, I'm looking forward to this movie. The more and more we hear about it, I mean, like you said, Jeffrey Wright's going to be in it. You can't go wrong with Jeffrey Wright. You have Colin Farrell in here now. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of version of the Penguin he's going to play. I could have seen him playing more Alfred than I could see him as the Penguin.
Yeah, so I just dropped, I think, into our chat the Neil Adams Batmobile. So take a look at that.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, for those of you who can't see this, I'm sorry. I'll make sure I do post it. Oh, wow, that does look like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least the front definitely does. And you could be right that they have a bat symbol that looks like actually like a bat head on there, like his cowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I thought that was it. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. So, and I just like that they left, it's from far away, so you can just get a hint of what the bat suit's going to look like from, because we've never seen a full size of it. We've just seen the little hint of his, his mask and his chest and the shoulders, but not like a full image of it.
Yeah, I tried zooming in on this image, and this is the best.
Although I'm liking the way the cape is flowing in, I think, the last picture where you can see the back of the car.
Yes, yeah. He's got the classic cape thing going on there. What everybody was criticizing, and I'm guilty of it also, with the pictures from him on the motorcycle when we actually got to see it in person or on the internet. Yeah. It just, the cowl was bothering me because it looked like something. It looked very cheap. It looked like something you get off eBay. But as I'm looking at the new pictures, and from with him with the new car, the suit looks amazing. It looks like all put together, and the ears look way better.
And I think those were obviously just a stunt man, so they're never going to have the accurate comic costume, or not accurate. The most detailed costume is going to be a stunt version.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I mentioned this on the last show, is just how if you go back and look at behind the scenes footage of when Christian Bale's stunt double was on the Batpod, he didn't even have the full cowl on. And with Batflick, I mean, I think did they do a digital on his cape, or am I thinking of Henry Cavill's Superman?
I think you're right. They did do a digital on the cape, so yeah.
Yeah. So, it's plenty of time, and they're just shooting the film. And Matt Reeves is so great at this. I don't know how big of a fan he is of Batman, but he's doing it right. He's doing a Snyder method, and I know I read this online also, that let's release a little picture of the Batsuit. Let's release a picture of the car with him in the suit. I don't know when we'll get at least a teaser for this. I bet you we get a teaser of this probably Comic-Con. Assuming that all goes well in July.
Well, I would say because when is the release date for this again? Oh, is it next year?
Yeah, it's definitely next year, 2021.
Yeah. So with the moving of No Time to Die, and especially since Jeffrey Wright's in both, maybe we'll get a nice trailer beforehand.
That would be pretty cool. Let's see. The release date is June 25th, 2021 right now.
Ooh, all right. So that'll be a nice, right after my birthday.
Nice birthday present there, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that. Says John Turturro is going to be playing Carmine Falcone in this.
Falcone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Everything that I love about Batman is when you bring in the mob or the gangsters in this. I think that, and I really hope that that's what they're going with in here. I know you're going to have the Riddler, played by Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. Andy Serkis is Alfred Pennyworth. I'm nervous about overcrowding of characters, but what I've heard about this is that it's not a year one; it's like year two is like sort of this timeline for this, which lines up with excuse me, one of the comics. What was it? The Long Halloween, which features basically the transition from the mob being in charge to the costumed criminals being in charge, and some of which was adapted for The Dark Knight. But it had a lot more. It had pretty much most of those villains in it, and I think if they at least take some inspiration from that, it could be really great. Yeah, what's great is just like with the Ian Fleming novels that they have so much history of Batman to go with. So many different versions of this. It doesn't always have to be comic book accurate for it to succeed. MCU is perfect example of that. They took what they needed from movies such as Captain America: Civil War. They made it that okay, we'll do a little bit of this, and then we'll put our own spin to it. So, like I said, the more and more I see of this, I'm getting more excited about this. I was definitely excited, like say when Batman v Superman came out. I still enjoy that movie. I really do. Justice League is fun. It's like watching Saturday morning cartoons. I'll turn it on and enjoy it for what it is, and I set lower expectations. But if it's what DC has been doing lately with, say, the Joker, Birds of Prey. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. Birds of Prey.
I have not yet. I do want to see that, though.
I highly encourage you and all the listeners who haven't seen it. It should still be in theaters. It's not going to be. It's not making as much money as they expected to, obviously, but it's a lot of fun. I was really, I'm not going to say anything else in there. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But I will say this: it's time to skip to birthdays. So, celebrating a birthday on March 1st, and I'm going back about a week or so because I was going to record last week, but I had to do a breaking news kind of thing because No Time to Die, it was delayed. So Zack Snyder celebrated a birthday on March 1st. He is the director of Batman v Superman, love it or hate it, and Justice League, love it or hate it. Did you like either one of those movies?
I own the extended version of Batman v Superman, and I like that a lot better. Justice League. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and the only way to watch Batman v Superman is the Ultimate Cut. Or the ultimate edition. It's kind of like people would argue about, well, maybe not argue, I guess, about Blade Runner, which version to watch.
Which version of it.
Yeah, but there's only one version of Batman v Superman to watch, and that's that version. Even though the Snyder Cut is still being heavily teased out there by Zack Snyder himself. Yes, it does exist. He had a fan poster competition recently, and there's, T-shirts and hoodies being printed up. Release the Snyder Cut. It's all over the web. So who knows what's going to happen with that? Even though I would definitely pay extra money to see that. Okay, celebrating a birthday also on March 1st was Lana Wood, who played Plenty O'Toole in Diamonds Are Forever. Hi, I'm Plenty O'Toole.
But of course you are.
Exactly. Yeah. My favorite part about that scene, or I guess the scene, was when she was dropped out of the window into the pool. I didn't know there was a pool there.
You don't know how many times I've quoted that after seeing a pool from my hotel window. And I also love that there's a random quote of it in, The Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, because he did drop somebody. He did drop the one guy off in there.
And he says, I didn't know there was a pool down there. It's like, Wait, did they just quote "Diamonds Are Forever" in this movie?
Oh yeah, a lot of people, a lot of things. I was actually listening randomly to a song. I think it was on the radio, and it had the "You Only Live Twice" theme in there.
Are you talking about Robbie Williams' "Millennium"?
That's the one. Yeah,
I love that song.
I think I know why. You Only Live Twice by Nancy Sinatra is it's a great theme song. But I find it very fascinating when Bond just randomly shows up, whether it be quotes in there. If I'll throw this in there, Arrow in the series finale, he's like, "We have all the time in the world," and the first thing I did was
remember that.
tweet the director and the producer saying, "I see what you did there. You did an on Her Majesty's Secret Service thing there. Very good. But kudos to you guys." So it's there, and anytime, and I know you're like me, where you always try to pull a Bond quote. Hopefully somebody will get it. Chances are they won't. It depends on who your set of friends are, but yeah. Anyway, on March 2nd, a certain gentleman had a birthday. His name is Craig Daniel Craig. Can you believe he's been playing James Bond since 2006?
My God, it's 14 years now. Wow.
Yeah. I remember where I was in 2006. I'll just say that I had just graduated college. I'll leave it to that. But I can't believe we've been on such a long journey with him since then. He looks, even in the new Bond, in the new posters and the TV spots and trailers, he looks younger now than he did with his haircut in Skyfall.
Yes.
That'd be the only thing that bothered me was his haircut.
Because how old is he now? He's 51, 52?
50, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, if I look like that when I'm 51 or 52, I will be very happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the guy is just, he's Diesel.
Although wasn't it like the day after his birthday when they announced the delay? So I'm like, that's a terrible birthday present.
Yeah, it really was. It's like, surprise, your movie's being delayed. What? But yeah. Celebrating a birthday on March 3rd was Gloria Hendry. She played Rosie Carver in Live and Let Die. Oh, Rosie, you double-crossing person, you. But yes. As M would say from Octopussy, she met an untimely demise, and she kind of had it coming. Don't screw over Roger Moore. That's a lesson we learned very evidently in that movie. Celebrating a birthday on March 5th is Simon Abercarian. He played Mr. Demetrios in Casino Royale. Yeah. That if you ever want the backstory, at least in the Craig era of Bond films, of how Bond is a fan of Aston Martins, well, there you go. Go back and watch Casino Royale.
It's all thanks to him.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Demetrios. And I don't know. I've always trying to figure out that. Okay, he won that. Won that Aston Martin there in a game of poker. But is that Aston Martin the same one that it was in Skyfall, Spectre, and I guess going to be in No Time to Die? I don't think it is because of the side that the steering wheel's on.
So what I remember reading around the time of Skyfall is, I think it was an interview with Purvis and Wade, who were the main Bond writers. At least in their script, it was supposed to be that car, and it would have been on without gadgets. It would have just had a bunch of guns in the back of it. And Sam Mendes is the one who said, "No, we have the car. Why don't we make it the one from Goldfinger with all those gadgets?"
Nice. I have no problem with that. I really don't.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, because that scene, and you see that, and you see it come up, and you think, okay, it's an Aston Martin, that's cool. And then when he flips up the gear shift, and there's the ejector seat button there, and then when the machine guns fire, it's just, it's just, that feeling is just so good.
It is.
I don't know. Have you been to the new Spy Museum yet?
No, I have not. No, I need to.
Wow. The Aston Martin is right there in the lobby, and every about 20 minutes or so, some of the gadgets, including those machine guns in the front, will go off.
Oh, like they used to in the old Spy Museum?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
Awesome. Yep, I remember that. They had the Aston Martin there. I remember that the one time I did go. That Aston Martin. Name a better car than that, and it's better than the Batmobile. There, I said it. Celebrating a birthday on March 5th also was Neil Jackson, who played Mr. Slade in Quantum of Solace. I will say this about Quantum of Solace, the fight sequence in there with Mr. Slade versus James Bond was awesome. It's by, I was going to say it makes my top 3 of best Bond fights in the Daniel Craig era. Let's see. Celebrating a birthday on March 6th, Lewis Gilbert, who was the director of You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, and Moonraker.
So basically the 3 movies with the same plot.
Pretty much, yeah. Almost the exact same thing, yeah. But one of them ended up being better than all the other 2. Yeah,
that's very true.
Yeah,
and I hope you're talking about The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Oh, somebody.
Okay.
Somebody.
I mean, I do have a soft spot for You Only Live Twice, but and as I've watched it more and more, I actually have been appreciating Moonraker a lot.
Moonraker is a fun movie if you just if it's especially being at wintertime. Well, I guess it's still wintertime anyway. But it's just one of those things. You just want to, you're just around the house. You want to turn on a Bond movie. You have no idea what you turn on. Turn on Moonraker. It's fun. Enjoy it for what it is.
And I mean, they don't go into space until like the 3rd act, and before that, it's all pretty much down to earth stuff.
It is, yeah.
So it's a really rapid shift, but I enjoy it.
I think it's I don't know why people criticize it so much, because like I said, you could go back to Diamonds Are Forever and you just have Blofeld just shooting a laser at all the army guys and whatever else.
Who instantly disintegrate.
Yes. So at least in Die Another Day, the satellite in there, made a little bit more sense since it's taking the power of the sun and destroying everything. Just my 2 cents anyway. And somebody made a comment on Twitter about saying, let's name all the least favorite Bond things or one of our favorite Bond things, whatever. And something came up about The Spy Who Loved Me's theme song that they mentioned that one of their least favorite things. I'm like,
what?
Excuse me, that was my wedding song.
Really?
And they're like, well, I'm sorry. Well, I'm like,
I will say during my wedding, my sister sang that song for me. During my wedding reception. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Then I put the quote, and I actually had to create it in the meme generator saying, what I say, you're bloody idiot. That's what I put on there. And they laughed about it. So all in good fun. Tobias Menzies celebrates a birthday on March 7th. He played Villiers in Casino Royale, M's assistant. He's Moneypenny, but not. Yeah. Paul Haggis celebrates a birthday on March 10th. He was the writer for Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. I don't think he gets enough credit for... Well, yeah, he gets enough credit for Casino Royale. I mean, everybody always remembers Haggis in there and Purvis and Haggis because they've been there since The World Is Not Enough.
Purvis and Wade, yeah.
Right, but it's just proof that we've had some really great talent or writing talent, writing these Bond movies, especially now with No Time to Die. Aaron Eckhart celebrated a birthday, or will celebrate a birthday on March 12th. Who did he play, Christian?
Harvey Dent.
Yes.
I believe in Harvey Dent.
I believe in Harvey Dent for the next election. Absolutely. I'll be wearing my Harvey Dent pin. Yeah. Yes, and he also played AKA Two-Face, Harvey Two-Face. If it wasn't, I'm not. Well, that sounds so bad. The Joker, Heath Ledger's performance obviously overshadowed everybody in that. But if you would have just had Aaron Eckhart, as Two-Face in a movie, I would have been all for that because he
was so good.
Yeah, he was. And I'm like, dude, why aren't you making more successful movies right now? Because you're so good. And last but not least, Michael Caine will be celebrating a birthday on March 14th. And he played Alfred Pennyworth in the Dark Knight trilogy. My own personal favorite Alfred.
So I have a theory that because he's, Christopher Nolan's lucky charm, if they ever did let Nolan do a Bond movie, he'd play M.
Ooh. I could see that.
Although he did sort of a version of that when he was in, was it Kingsman?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in Kingsman. He was also, if you want to really tie in some...
Oh, that's
Bond.
right. Austin Powers.
Yeah. Actually, I did watch the first Austin Powers last night, and then they were... Dr. Evil was talking about his father. I'm like, oh, yeah, Michael Caine's the father of... And I'm like, okay, it sounds like the plot of Spectre. Bond humor. There it is. Anyway, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Night Cave. Christian, thank you so much for joining me, especially on
Thanks
such
for having
last minute. You're always welcome back anytime you want. And yes, I think you and I will be talking more to get through this next 7 months.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to everybody for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spreaker, and Google Podcast. Make sure you share the show with your friends if you haven't done so already. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. I'd very much appreciate it. Follow me on all the various social media networks, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And I'll tweet out and Instagram that picture of the Batmobile that Christian just sent me so you guys can see the comparison there. Christian, once again, thanks for coming on the show. Like James Bond, I will return until next time. I'm Brian Thomas. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great week. Bye-bye.